about to meet one very strong woman who is settling for more after surviving the unthinkable. Lori Poland was just a toddler when she endured a horrific 3-day ordeal. And now she is committed to preventing it from happening to anyone else. Watch this.
I was 3. My brother and I were playing in our front yard, and a car drove around our corner, and the passenger door was open as he drove up, and pulled up and saw me and asked if I liked candy. I eagerly said yes, and he told me that if I went with him that he would give me candy. And so I got into the car and we drove off. He immediately started abusing me, and then he drove me up about 20 minutes west of Denver to an abandoned outhouse and proceeded to severely abuse me. And then he dropped me 15 feet below ground into the pit of an outhouse toilet and left me there for dead. And I was there for 3.5 days before I was rescued. The entire time that I was missing, it was like a manhunt. My parents were able to use media to plea and to ask for help.
Just let us have her back. Poor thing, she's probably so scared.
While I was gone, they had found my kidnapper and arrested him, and they searched his home. He denied all of it. Bird watchers happened to be driving by the outhouse that I had been in, and they heard a small cry, and they asked what I was doing there, and I looked up and I told them that I lived there. There was a volunteer firefighter who had come over, and so they harnessed him, and he came down and picked me up.
Sorry, we lost
Being reunited with my parents is probably one of the most intense moments. I don't remember that reunification at all, but I've seen it, and every time I see it, it brings tears to my eyes, and it's difficult to watch.
Wow. Please welcome Lori Poland. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
An incredible story. God, that's hard to watch, even for us. I can't imagine what it's like for you.
It is hard to watch, even after all these years, especially my mom and my dad. Like, it's hard to see them suffering. As a mother, I couldn't imagine anything like that happening to my children. That would just saying that, like, makes my throat close up.
You don't have conscious memory of that?
I have just a couple of memories of being so one was being in the car with my abductor, and the other one was being at the bottom of the toilet. And I had just turned 3, and I had just gotten potty trained, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I was so worried that I was going to let my mom down. So those are the 2 memories that I do have. Outside of that, most of my memories live in my subconscious, so I have a lot of dreams. My body I have physical problems as an adult now due to early trauma. So
right, because it's in there.
Yeah, it is in there. It stays.
The story starts off just about as dark as it can get.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stay there. And that's one of the reasons, I mean, you've devoted your life now to helping others.
I have.
And before we get to what you're doing, because it's so interesting, what she just said about the manifestation physically of those emotional wounds is important to what she's doing and what she wants all of us to know. But before you could get to that point of being a helper, you needed to be helped.
Yeah.
And there was early, immediate intervention in your case. So how important was that?
You know, I think that it was pivotal. I was in an organization within 2 weeks after my abduction and got intensive counseling and services immediately thereafter with some of the world's best people, and I think it changed my life. They gave me the ability to really process it at that time, and then over the years throughout my life, every time I've had like a major life transition, things have re-triggered it, and I've had to reprocess it, but it's never been quite the same as it was that first time, right? So each time I work on it, it's just a little bit easier to get through it. So
Your doctors talk about what an incredibly strong little girl you were,
I was.
and that there had clearly been a good foundation laid prior to your abduction. But one of the amazing pieces of your story is you, at 3 years old, were able to ID your abductor.
I was, yeah.
And what happened to him?
I've always had a voice. I had a voice then, and I was able to use it and identify him, and then I was able to describe everything that he did in a very safe environment through the agency that I had gone to. And he was then sentenced to 10 years in prison. Granted, this was 1983, so in 1983 it was more of a crime to cause harm to an animal than it was to a child. And so you had a larger sentence if you hurt an animal or killed an animal than if you did a small child. And so he was sentenced to 10 years in prison and was released after 6 for good behavior. So,
But in so many cases, the children they can't ID the perpetrator.
Right.
And so just the mere fact that he got any jail time
Yeah.
based on what you did, that way to sort of like, for a little girl to sort of seize her own power back, whether you knew that's what you were doing or not.
No.
Listen, part of the problem in the way we treat these situations is we treat it as a social issue, right? A social issue or a criminal issue, and not as a health issue. Not as a health issue. And boy, does that come back to bite victims as they go throughout the course of their lives. Up next, we're going to talk about how we change that and how Lori's now working with the doctor who treated her as a child, who's here, and what you need to know from them. We'll be right back. We're here today with an extraordinary woman named Lori Poland, who survived a horrific ordeal as a 3-year-old when she was kidnapped, abused, and left for dead. She is now teamed up with her childhood doctor, Richard Krugman, to launch the National Foundation to End Child Abuse and Neglect. Dr. Krugman, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Andy.
So you met Lori when she was just 3 years old. You met her right after the trauma?
We met Lori. I was director of the Kemp Center in Denver. She was brought there. Actually, the police brought the videotape of her identifying her assailant and asked us if it was reliable. And we said, yep, it's reliable, but not admissible. So then we did video depositions that were admissible, and her testimony led to his plea.
You two reconnected when you were in high school?
yeah, I was 17. It was my senior year.
How? What happened?
I was writing a paper on child abuse and neglect, and I wanted to ask Dick some questions. So I called, and that afternoon he canceled a meeting with a pretty important person. And
Not that important.
and then we got together, and then we just stayed in contact over the years. And about 8 years ago, I asked him if he would be my professional mentor, and we've just built a pretty close relationship. And he's truly the best person in the whole world to work with. I love
The preceding is a paid political announcement.
So you are yourself a family therapist now?
I am, yeah. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I specialize in relationship and attachment therapy, as well as childhood trauma and childhood therapy, no matter the age.
Yeah.
So working with adults who've experienced childhood trauma and so on.
And I know that we talked about this during the break. You talk about how even though you worked on your stuff, right? You worked on it from a very young age.
Yeah.
Certain events can be triggering. And, we're seeing this right now in our country. I think part of the reason why the Kavanaugh hearing is so upsetting to so many victims of sexual assault and abuse is it brings up their own experience, right? And we have to be careful to separate him from, right? Because he's only accused and denies. But it is triggering. And one of the things you want people to know, Doc, is that there are real health consequences to traumas like that people suffer when they're younger.
There are significant, we've actually known this 25 years, that adverse childhood experiences, of which various forms of abuse are very prominent, cause downstream issues with suicide, mental health issues, obesity, eating disorders, and a 20-year less lifespan for people who've experienced significant traumas like this, unless they're treated.
So it is not just a criminal justice issue. It's not just a social issue. It's something that can actually negatively affect longevity.
Yeah.
And so you two are now working together. As of January, you launched a new foundation, right?
Here we are.
And that's the, okay. So I want to get the name of it right. It's the National Foundation to End Child Abuse and Neglect, NCAN. And what does it do? Like, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Our goal really is first to change the conversation in this country around abuse as just a social and legal issue to a mental health and public health issue. And then try to get us to accelerate the research, training, prevention, and advocacy. I'm 50 years in pediatrics. When I was a resident 50 years ago, any baby under 3 pounds died. All children with acute leukemia died. Now, because of 50 years of research and training, most of those children, all of the babies under 3 pounds live, and most of the children, 95% with leukemia, live. There are even foundations, and there are foundations for all of those that have helped build the research field. There's been nothing for abuse.
Wow.
Nothing. So we started it.
Might
Wow.
as well.
Listen, good for you. And thank you for letting us tell that story.
Yeah.
It's-
Thanks for having us.
You obviously are an incredible person. We didn't get to everything, but I do want the audience to know she lectures now. She's gone out and spoken to sex offenders directly. She's stood up in a room full of sex offenders to try to bring a message, and hers personally has been one of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Which is really incredible,
Yeah,
Lori.
looking at the world through eyes of compassion, finding a way to use kindness and love and modeling forgiveness really allows us to do good things. When we live with anger and hostility, it doesn't allow us to be our best selves in the world. So everything I do is modeling that, even towards my abductor and that whole experience. I
Wow.
look at him through eyes of compassion.
God bless you. Thank you both so much for being
Thank you.
here. Listen, if you want more information, go to today.com/Megyn Today. Thank you, Lori and Dr. Friedman. All the best, and we'll be right back.